Today, we're going to break down a program that's not really about teaching students what to think, but teaching them how to think. It's called Future Problem Solving, and it's all about getting them ready for a future that, let's be honest, none of us can fully predict.
So, let's just jump right in with a pretty big question. When you really think about it, what skills are going to be the absolute game changers in the near future? Not just to land a job, but to build a whole career.
Well, it turns out the World Economic Forum was wondering the same thing, and what they found is pretty eye-opening. Look at the top skills for 2025. Complex problem solving, critical thinking, creativity. You'll notice a pattern here, right? These aren't things you can just memorize for a test. They are ways of thinking. And that right there, that's the skills gap we're going to talk about.
Okay, so how do we actually teach this stuff? How do you build these skills in a way that's structured and actually sticks? Well, it turns out there's a program designed for this exact challenge. Let's dive into Future Problem Solving. At its core, Future Problem Solving, or FPS for short, is this global program that basically hands students a proven, step-by-step process to sharpen their thinking skills. You can think of it less as just another competition and more like a mental toolkit they can use for the rest of their lives.
And this is not some small niche program either. We're talking about a pretty big global network. All in all, the program is active in 43 different regions, which includes 14 countries and 29 US states. That's a whole lot of students all over the world learning the exact same powerful way to solve problems. It's like a shared language of innovation.
Now, here's what's really cool. FPS gets that not all students are the same. They have different passions, different strengths. So, the program actually offers 4 unique ways for them to jump in and start building these critical skills.
So there are 4 different tracks. Students can dive into imagined future scenarios with global issues, or they can tackle real-world problems right in their own neighborhoods through community projects. For the more creative types, there's creative writing and even an oral storytelling component. It basically means that whether a kid is a writer, a performer, or a team strategist, there's a place for them here.
And this isn't a one-and-done kind of thing. The program is built to grow right along with the students. It's broken up into junior, middle, and senior divisions, covering everyone from 4th grade all the way through high school. So they can keep coming back year after year, building on those skills as they get older.
So what's the secret sauce here? What's the engine that powers all 4 of these different programs? Well, it all boils down to one single, incredibly powerful 6-step process. This is the absolute heart of future problem solving.
You can see how logical the process is. It actually stops students from just jumping to the first solution that pops into their heads. It starts with step 1, identify all the challenges. Then, step 2, they have to narrow it down and pick one single underlying problem to focus on. That focus is so important. And only then, in step 3, do they start brainstorming solutions. Steps 4 and 5 are all about being objective, creating criteria to judge their ideas and then applying them. And finally, step 6 turns the best idea into a real concrete plan. It's this amazing path from total chaos to total clarity. And using this process, it causes this huge mental shift in students. They stop asking, what's the right answer? And they start saying, I have a process I can use to figure out the best answer. It's a massive confidence builder. It teaches them that it's not just about what you know, but what you can do with what you know.
You know, Henry Ford said it perfectly. Thinking is the hardest work there is. And that really gets to the heart of what FPS teaches. It's not easy, for sure, but the students who really lean into this kind of structured thinking are preparing themselves in a way that, frankly, most of their peers just aren't.
Okay, so we've established it's a great process. But what does it actually do? What's the real-world impact on a student's life? Let's talk about the results.
When you boil it all down, FPS delivers 5 huge benefits. It gives them a clear thinking process, empowers them to make tough decisions, sharpens their communication skills, teaches them how to see the whole picture, and yeah, it absolutely helps them stand out when it really counts on college applications and in their future careers.
But this isn't just theory, right? Let me give you a real example. Project Building Hope. After some horrible wildfires completely destroyed a community playground, a group of students didn't just see a tragedy, they saw a problem they could solve. They actually used the FBS process to organize the community, raise the money, and lead the project to rebuild the whole thing from scratch. I mean, that is real-world impact. Or how about this one? A student-led club figured out their community had a food desert, basically an area where nobody had easy access to healthy food. So they use the FPS framework to analyze all the challenges, logistics, funding, you name it, and they designed and launched an entire program that now brings fresh fruits and vegetables to families who need it most. They didn't just point out a problem, they actually built a solution.
And it works for individuals too. One student found out that space heaters were a huge safety risk for elderly people in her town. So what did she do? She identified the underlying problem as a lack of information. So she brilliantly partnered with Meals on Wheels to get the word out and created this whole campaign with videos and newsletters to keep some of the most vulnerable people in her community safe. That is problem solving in action.
And if you're thinking, okay, this is great for school projects, but what about later on? Check this out. On the left, you have the FPS process. And on the right, that's the problem-solving model they teach at the business school at USC. They are almost identical. What that means is that FPS students are learning a way of thinking that is used at the highest levels of business and academia.
So let's tie this all together. When you look at the world today, why does a program like this matter so much right now?
Really, the takeaway here is simple, but it's powerful. FPS is not just another after-school club. It's a training ground for life. It gives students the exact skills, the thinking, the planning, the communication that are absolutely essential to succeed, no matter what they do. The more they practice this stuff, the more ready they'll be for anything the future decides to throw at them.
So I'll just leave you with this thought. The future will definitely have problems. That's a guarantee. The only real question is, who's going to be ready to solve them? I think it's pretty clear it's going to be the people who are taught how to think.